But the real takeaway for me on the Shamima Begum story is this is a woman who's not even in the United Kingdom, but can pull the levers of our legal system so effectively. She's actually had 5 hearings, one way or another, on the same issue. Can you imagine what it's like for people who actually do make that illegal crossing from the Channel in our land? Let's hypothetically say she'd made that illegal crossing in a boat and she was here. Even having now had 5 court cases go against her, we wouldn't have the right to deport her because there's nowhere to send her. She's stateless.
It is bizarre, Jo, isn't it, that she's able to appeal?
No, I think that's, that's the law running its course. I think
Is it? Because it seems to a lot of people that it's constant activist lawyers trying to find loopholes. And I do wonder, why are there so many people who want to fight tooth and nail for this now woman who joined a terrorist organisation?
Well, I think, there are several issues here. One is that I think the ruling today, which upheld the then Home Secretary Sajid Javid's decision to strip her of her British citizenship, and that's all that hearing was about. Mm-hmm. The people who want her to come back and face trial, for what?
Well, this is the problem.
I know, exactly. So, I mean, I think that this whole thing gets conflated. So, bring her back, let her face justice. Well, what are you going to charge her?
But she hasn't been stripped of her citizenship for a crime. It's the threat she poses to the United Kingdom.
And that's why it was upheld that the Home Secretary had every right to put British security above and beyond her rights as a British citizen. Also, she does have a right to Bangladeshi citizenship, so she is not technically stateless. I think it would have been a slightly different question had any of her 3 children survived, because where would those children fit as stateless individuals? Would they have any rights to be British citizens? Or would they, have any rights to come back and be repatriated with their grandparents?
Social services may wish to strip of her children.
Well, yes, but I think,
for good reason.
I think having lost 3 children to death, I think that doesn't need to go down that route.
This is what's so frustrating, though, about the argument that we hear time and time again when this story comes back into the news, that the lawyers they know that if she was brought back to this country, that she wouldn't necessarily be convicted of a crime.
She wouldn't be convicted of a crime, and even if a court found that she should be deported, there'd be nowhere to deport her to. Once she's back here, that's why they're fighting so hard. Once she's back here, she's in.
But why do they want...
Because...
There's money in it, Emily.
There's money in it, yes.
Hang on a minute, hang on. Just because you don't agree with the position that a lawyer is taking... I mean, Gareth Pearce, who is one of Shamima Begum's lawyers today, is actually a renowned lawyer who got justice for people who were wrongly jailed for very, very, very many years for bombings that they had no part in. So, it depends. Just because we think, or other people might think, Shamima Begum is a terrorist threat, she is still entitled to have somebody acting on her behalf to argue against it.
Sure.